Welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I am your host, Eric Dwinnells, and joining me once again tonight, a returning, frequent co-host, Brian Toney.
Hey guys.
Welcome back, Brian.
It's good to be here. Here we go.
Brian's making fun of me because I said, here we go, before I pressed record.
In a very idiosyncratic way.
Here we go.
That was good. Actually, and it's I want it noted that it is not tonight. It is this morning, which is a first. I don't know if that's a first for the show. It's definitely a first for me. It's different.
Actually, I think you came over earlier than this even once. I think you came at 9 o'clock one day.
What? That doesn't sound like me.
I'm pretty sure that happened.
All right, if you say so.
Because you were like, oh, I'm going to squeeze you in, but it's got to be early. And I said, yeah, no problem. And then you were like, 9 o'clock. I was like, damn, son.
Wow. I don't
remember what we talked about, but...
I had ambitions back in the day.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyway, it's only 11 right now, 11 a.m. on this fine Memorial Day.
On a holiday, yeah.
Yeah. Brian, I was just telling you, it's been a long time since I've talked about a murder.
That's true.
So we're kind of I talked about the Golden State Killer getting caught a few weeks back because I was real excited about that.
Yeah.
But I didn't really go into the case or anything. I still want to do that. In fact, I was considering doing that for this episode. But I didn't give myself enough time to really gather my notes and everything about it. I want to do a half decent episode on that. So I was like, no, let me finish the one that I had planned on doing.
Did you read the book?
Yes, I did.
All right. Then
I read it before he was captured, actually.
There you go.
In fact, that was the first thing that I, with my broken ankle and everything, it was really hard to go out and do things. So I went to a doctor's appointment, the first one I ever went to on my own because I was on crutches. But I was able to make it to the car and everything on the crutches. And then after the appointment, I said, I'm stuck at home. I got nothing to do, nothing to read. I said, I'm going to go get this book because I'm very interested in this case.
Yeah.
So it was literally the first non-doctor's appointment thing that I did since my accident.
That's
so
my
whenever
Eric.
that book came out, I got it that first week.
I'm going to be laid up for a while, have some time. Why not read about murder?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not unusual.
I'm not judging.
True crime is very, very popular.
It is.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to save that episode for later. But we are going to talk about something that I mentioned on a previous episode. I recently did an episode about Friday the 13th Part 3, which included a little bit of a discussion about Friday the 13th Part 2.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to weigh in on this.
Well, that's okay. The reason it came up was because in Friday the 13th Part 2, Jason doesn't wear his hockey mask.
Rude.
He wears like a white sack over his face.
Oh, okay. I think I heard about that.
And actually the only reason they stopped doing that was because the Elephant Man came out right around that same time. And they're like, oh, we don't want comparisons to the Elephant Man for our psycho killer, so we're going to change up his look.
Yeah, very different thematically.
Right. But the mask, because it only had the one eye.
Oh, okay.
Too. So, but anyway, Fatima was my co-host on that episode on Friday the 13th, and she had just recently watched basically all the Friday the 13th movies for the first time. She did a little marathon.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I hear they're very different in tone once you get past the first couple.
Well, I was going to say the first, 4 are basically the same movie over and over with slight variations. But anyway, I was telling her that the mask in Part 2, the sack mask, reminded me of the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown because there's a killer that wears a sack over his face in that movie.
Okay.
But that movie is based on a true story.
And does the sack figure into the true story?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Because the killer really did wear a sack over his face. Well, they describe it as a white mask with holes cut out for eyes.
Right.
So they don't actually say that it's like a, pillowcase or something like that.
What era is this? This is like 19th century?
In real life?
Yeah.
1946.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I was going to say, back in the 18th century, they probably didn't have ready access to X-Acto knives and stuff, but I suppose they could have If you really cared and you wanted to take the time to craft a murder mask, you could
Have you
do
seen
it.
Django?
Yes.
The scene where they make the Klan hoods, and they're complaining about how the eyes are not.
They don't line up. Yeah. That's such an old joke, though.
Yeah, it was a good scene though. It was very funny.
I like that movie.
What's that?
I said I like that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. But anyway, so yeah, the movie is called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. In real life, at the time, it was known as The Phantom Killer.
Boring.
Or The Texarkana Moonlight Murders.
Now we're talking.
You like that one?
That's so much better. That's like a variety show. Yeah, let's go.
So we're going to talk about that tonight. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone to check out the website, spookyassshit.com or spookyas.com. They both take you to the same place, and that is the show's blog page. There you can listen to each and every episode of Spooky Ass Shit. You can find exclusive outtakes. Probably not exclusive, I guess, because they are on YouTube, I guess, some of them. But
exclusively embedded into your page.
Yeah, there's sometimes pictures and other YouTube videos that are connected to the story, what have you. And you can also find links to all of our social media. We are at Spooky Ass Shit on both Twitter and Instagram. And you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas. Also, this is kind of an unusual episode because I'm really lounging today. Ugh, let me sit up a little bit.
Get your laconic drawl in there.
Yeah. All right, so Brian, you've never heard of this story, the Texarkana Moonlight Murders?
I don't think so. I don't think I mean, none of the episodes that I think I heard of Jaws. Like, there's a lot of things I have not heard of.
That's all good. Well, it all started around 11:45 on Friday, February 22nd.
This is so specific.
1946.
11:45. All right.
Well, as I've mentioned on the show before, if I ever say a specific time and date, you know something really bad's about to happen, right?
At 11:45, nothing happened. Back to you.
All right, so a guy named Jimmy Hollis, who was 25 years old, and his girlfriend, Mary Janine Leary, who was 19, were parked on a secluded lover's lane. After about 10 minutes of them having been parked there, a man walked up to the driver's side door and flashed a flashlight beam into Hollis's face. Now, he was kind of blinded at this time, and Hollis thought that, maybe this was a prank or that he'd been mistaken for somebody else, so he said to the guy, "Fella, you got me mixed up with someone else. You've got the wrong man."
Fella. I love the 40s.
Now, the masked man, we find out later he's masked, but he was masked. Man had a pistol and told him, "I don't want to kill you, fella, so do what I say."
He said fella, too.
And he ordered them to get out of the car.
Okay. So far, it just sounds like a traffic stop.
They both got out through the driver's side. But as she exited the vehicle, Leary noticed that the man was wearing a white mask with eye holes cut out. The masked man told Hollis, "Take off your fucking britches."
We had the word fucking in 1940?
Yeah.
All right.
Leary pleaded with Hollis to take them off, believing that if he did, that they wouldn't be hurt because the murderer just said, I don't want to kill you guys.
Yeah, that's probably it. Oh, all right. Thank you. I'll be on my way.
He just wants you to take off his pants.
Have a good one. Yeah, there's never anything after that.
Yeah, after, well, this is what happened. Hollis removed his pants, and then the masked man struck him twice in the head with a heavy, blunt object. Larry then picked up Hollis's pants and pulled out his wallet, telling the assailant he doesn't have any money. The assailant told her she was lying and that she had a purse. Larry told him that she did not, and then she was knocked to the ground. The assailant ordered her to get up, and when she did, he told her, "Run." She started running. She could hear Hollis groaning over her shoulder as the attacker continued to beat and stomp him. She was having trouble running in her high heels when the assailant caught up to her. She saw an older car parked further up the street facing their vehicle. She quickly looked inside to see if there was anyone in there that could help her, but after seeing no one, she began to run again and was soon overtaken by her attacker. The man asked her why she was running. She told him, "You told me to run." He called her a liar again. He knocked her down and sexually assaulted her with the barrel of his gun.
There's a lot not to like right now.
Yeah. She managed to get up and told her assailant, "Go ahead and kill me." But the attacker did not move, so she ran. She ran half a mile, believing she was being chased, to a townhouse nearby, where she screamed and banged on the door for help. A car passed, but did not stop when she called after it. She ran to the back of the house that she'd been knocking on and woke up the owners, who then notified the authorities. The police arrived at the scene, but the attacker had already driven off. They found Hollis's pants 100 yards away from the attack. No thoughts so far?
I mean, so disjointed. I don't know if this guy has like a weird fetish or something. So you take off your pants so that I may hit you. It's not. He's just a psycho guy.
Yeah,
like this is not a traditional.
Taking off his pants is kind of a weird.
There's
aspect.
no. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he was just thought like if the guy has a weapon or something, I'll see if he takes off his pants.
I guess. See if he's compliant. Will he do the weird stuff I tell him to do? Which means he's an easier target. I'm trying to find a motive here. Like what's this guy after?
Yeah, that's a good question and one to keep in your head as we keep going along.
I don't want to.
So after the attack, Leary was taken to the hospital with minor cuts and received stitches for her wounds. Hollis was hospitalized for several days because he had 3 separate skull fractures.
Oh, I was going to say, he didn't die. All right.
Yeah.
It's already better.
No, he didn't die. Leary stated that she believed the attacker was black because of the way he pronounced the curse words he growled.
Who are we rooting for in this story again?
But Hollis, the man, thought that it was a tan-skinned white guy.
Because of the way his skin was tanned.
I guess.
Although this is late, right?
Yeah, and it was February.
11:45 p.m.
I don't know how cold Texarkana Februaries get, but...
I don't either. I have been to Texarkana, though.
Yeah.
It's fine. Go on.
They both agreed that he was about 6 feet tall, however. So, race they don't agree on, but height, they got that down.
Height has no color.
And it would just go on, basically, like they couldn't really give a full description of the guy, and except that, you know, he kind of thought he was crazy and...
Yeah, I'll go with that.
But, again, that seems pretty obvious. If there's someone out there attacking you, you would think so.
What about the car? Didn't she, look at the car?
Well, I don't know if she ever knew which one the assailant's car was. Because my suspicion would be, well, first of all, there's the car that she ran by, right?
Yeah.
So and there was nobody in it, so you might think that's the assailant's car, right?
You might.
And then also there's the car that drove by when she was banging on the neighbors. That possibly could have been the assailant.
Could have been the same one.
Making a getaway.
Yeah, but if it said she ran by that car and looked inside it, she didn't even register what kind of car it was, or.
I don't know. I would imagine if you're running for your life, maybe.
No, I'm not judging her, but.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
I mean, I might be able to be like, it was a sedan.
All right, APB for all sedans.
If it was white, you know.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. So, I got another date for you. Sunday, March 24th, 1946.
Nothing happened again.
Right around 9 a.m. A motorist sees a parked car on a lover's lane close to a night spot called Club Dallas.
Right.
The motorist notices 2 people sitting in the car, and at first he thought they were just sleeping. They're never just sleeping, and they're never mannequins.
I mean, mannequins, that's just weird.
That's what people always think.
Wait, really?
If you ever watch a true crime show, they're like, I thought it was a mannequin. Yeah, and I'm like, how often do you see a mannequin that you're like, oh, that's just some mannequin somebody dumped on the side of the road?
2-3 times a week? Why do you ask?
But anyway, he went in for a closer look, this motorist, and he discovered that there was the man was not just sitting there, but he was actually kind of propped up between the front seat on his knees with his head resting on his crossed hands. His pockets were turned inside out, and that there was a woman sprawled face down in the back seat. The motorist contacted city police, who would later identify the couple as Richard Griffin, age 29, and his girlfriend of 6 weeks, Polly Ann Moore, age 17. Little gross.
Okay.
Little gross. Griffin had been shot twice while still in the car, and both had been shot once in the back of the head, and both were fully clothed. Moore's purse was beside her in the back seat and contained a photo of her that was used in the following morning's paper. Police would investigate later in the family, and they said that the couple had no money on them.
Yeah.
But the family friends were like, well, they didn't really carry money anyway. So,
which seems like the wrong thing not to do. With it. If there is anything, he at least talks about money every time. So is he actually looking for money?
Well, in this one, he hasn't. Well, we don't know because no one survived here, so we don't.
And I'm assuming these will be tied somehow. But yes, there are similarities, but it's not really the same thing at this point. Yeah,
well,
it's just two people at a makeout spot. That's the main thing that's in common.
So police believe that Moore was killed on the blanket actually out in front of the vehicle before being placed back inside.
It's a lot of work.
Well, but why was the woman taken out of the car? Why would she have been murdered on the blanket? Maybe because there was some kind of attempted sexual assault.
Yeah.
But guess what? We don't know for sure because thanks to some kind of mix-up at the hospital, and that's all they say about it, Moore's body was picked up for examination and autopsy before it could be determined if she had been sexually assaulted.
God damn it, 1946.
Both bodies were taken to the Texarkana funeral home. The couple was last seen having dinner with Griffin's sister and her boyfriend on Saturday at around 10 p.m.
Her boyfriend, age 16.
Local law enforcement immediately launched a citywide investigation along with the Texas and Arkansas City Police. And by the way, the town gets its name because it's right on the border between Texas and Arkansas, so Texarkana. So that's why we have Texas and Arkansas police involved, as well as the Department of Public Safety and both Miller and Cass County Sheriff's Department and the FBI. And they also brought in the Texas Rangers.
And I bet all of these groups like each other and get along great, and there was no friction during this investigation.
They don't really talk about it in this, article and in the things that I've read.
Oh God!
But
I can
of course,
only imagine.
Historically, departments generally do not share a lot of information with each other, and
this is our case. No, it's our case. No, it's our case. It just keeps going.
In this one, we mostly hear about the sheriff and the Texas Rangers, particularly a guy named Lone Wolf Gonzaullas.
What? All right. Okay. Okay, I'll rally for that name.
Yeah. But so by Monday morning the Texas Rangers had been called in. There were some clues found at the second crime scene. There was a section of ground about 20 feet away from the car that had been saturated with dried blood, and there was blood splattered throughout the vehicle, and some congealed blood on the running boards, which had flowed through the bottom of the door of the car.
Gross.
A blanket was also found in the car, and a spent .32 shell, basically, believed to have been shot from a Colt revolver, inside the blanket. No gun was found at the scene, which ruled out a murder-suicide, and since it had rained overnight, it was believed that any footprints left by the killer had been washed away.
Damn.
The Texas Rangers had been called in, and they arrived there Monday night. They got there right away. At 9 p.m., The investigators combed for more clues through Tuesday. They concluded that the only apparent motive was robbery. The investigation continued to work overtime on the crime that papers reported on, and they were calling them these baffling crimes, and they also started talking about the Phantom Killer, which is how he gets his name. And the police even kind of agreed that, yeah, this guy, if he keeps getting away with it, he does seem kind of like a phantom. He just kind of disappears in the night.
Just what exactly is the capacity of a Texas Ranger? Is that is that technically law enforcement? It's like this organization that I don't understand it. I didn't watch the show.
It is. I don't know the exact.
Where do they fit in?
I don't know exactly, but they are like a specialized unit.
So like SWAT, but with cowboy hats.
Yeah, they all wear white cowboy hats.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making a joke. All right. Okay, I think I know.
No, they do. But they're all supposed to be like super badass crime investigators and crime solvers.
But they're like detectives.
Yeah.
But they wear cowboy hats. Okay.
Yeah, it's Texas.
Yep. Gotcha.
So yeah, they didn't really have a lot of clues to go on. They were searching things and they found different things that may have had something to do with it, but nobody knows for sure. There was some bloody sand found 7 steps in front of the car, and that was sent to the State Department of Public Safety, along with the blood-soaked clothing of the victims, to determine if the blood belonged to one of the victims or possibly to a third party, being the attacker. They continued their investigation as they waited for the blood test results. By Thursday, March 28th, the investigators were growing weary after 5 consecutive days of questioning about 200 suspects.
Is that like the population of Texarkana?
It's 40,000 people, actually.
Yeah, no.
But that is a lot.
That's a lot of people. How do you even
just round them up?
Get person of interest on that many people.
Just round them up. They got a funny looking face. Bring them in.
That sounds about right.
They were also chasing over 100 false leads and tips going back over each of the meager clues that could be discovered. In the March 27th edition of the Texarkana Gazette, an announcement was made that told readers, quote, "You can help solve murders."
I don't like this.
Sheriff Bill Presley and his deputies have a difficult task ahead of them as they attempt to solve the shocking double murder discovered Sunday morning. Texarkana residents can help in this investigation, and at the same time, if they are not careful, they can hinder the investigation and cause the officers to spend many hours following blind trails. Persons who have information which might furnish a clue to the identity of the slayer or slayers, or which might indicate a motive for the crime, should not divulge such information on street corners or at cold drink stands, but should immediately make it available to the officers.
Cold drink stands?
Yeah, I like that one.
It's like the water cooler? Is that the idea?
Do not spread rumors regardless of how much basis for fact there is in them. Do not say, "I heard," or "they say," because the chances are the person listening will repeat your information and enlarge upon it. Before long, the story grows to such proportions as to necessitate a detailed investigation by the officers, thereby perhaps pulling them off the true trail and sending them up a blind alley. Stick to the facts that you know of your own personal knowledge and relay those facts as quickly as possible to the officers.
So, was there a time in the U.S. when most people were like, yeah, cops are cool. I like cops. I don't want to turn this into that discussion, but I feel like you print that in the paper and so many people who got pulled over would be like, "Oh, I'm going to spread so many rumors."
I think it depends. I think there's probably different towns and everything where, people do look out more for cops than they would. And
it's just so strange that you would print something like that, because I feel like people who wouldn't even have thought of that would be like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll go to the nearest cold drink stand and start some shit just because I don't like Officer Steve."
Well, apparently it was a big problem because it comes up several times.
Really?
In the article that people were spreading rumors and don't spread rumors, and these rumors that they had to trace and all this stuff.
Before or after this was published, though?
Both, I guess, because they felt compelled to write that in the first place, and then they continue to talk about it. So,
all right. I don't understand things. Okay, go ahead.
So by Saturday, March 30th, Sheriff Presley and the Chief of Police, Jack Runnels, posted a $500 reward in effort to gain any new information on the Griffin and Moore case that would lead to the arrest and conviction of the killer or killers. Officers stated that all the clues found so far had been more or less fruitless. The results from the bloodstained sand were expected to arrive the next day, but due to delays in the laboratory, they had not come in.
Do you think, like, even when did we get DNA? The 90s or something?
Yeah, it's when
around that time.
It was kind of around, yeah.
And so, kind of backscattering, I always think, oh, well, before DNA, they couldn't do anything with. It's like, no, like, you can still medically do quite a bit with a sample. You can type it. You can probably subtype it.
Yeah,
depending on... You can still do some stuff.
Yeah, depending on the time. I don't know how people get away with anything these days, but they still do. Plenty of them still do.
Bureaucracy and corruption, that's how.
On the evening of Saturday, April 13th, Betty Jo Booker, age 15.
Had a wonderful day, and nothing happened.
I wish that was true. She was playing her alto saxophone.
Oh, come on.
In her regularly weekly gig with her band, the Rhythmaires. Yes.
I'm very sorry for what is about to happen to her, but that is a terrible name.
World War II had just ended. People were ready to party.
All right.
So they would party at the VFW Club. It's still there to this day, by the way. Sure. At around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, April 14th, her friend Paul Martin, age 16, arrived to pick her up from the performance and was going to give her a ride to her sorority's slumber party. Yeah, she was young.
This is a horror movie. Like,
yeah.
A hacky one.
This guy, Paul Martin, there's some speculation about what actually happened because they seem to be going not in the direction of the party. Obviously, they're about to get murdered. You know that. Yeah. But
this is Act 1.
Everybody that knows them says, no, they were just friends, and they'd known each other when they were little kids. And then she moved... I might have the details wrong, but I believe that she was the one who moved from Texas to Arkansas, or the other way around. But they remained friends, and he had just come back from military training or something like that. So they had been hanging out the day before, and then he had been like, oh yeah, since I'm in town, I'll pick you up and I'll give you a ride to the slumber party after your gig.
Yeah.
But some people are speculating that they had, veered off course to go on some lover's lane or something like that.
Yeah.
But
either way,
we don't know what's true and what's not, but
doesn't really matter, does it?
No. Just saying. I like to give details is all. So when he picked her up from the VFW hall, that was the last time that they were seen alive. Martin's body, the boy, was found at around 6:30 a.m. that morning by the Weaver family, mother, father, and son, who were out walking. And they found his body lying on its left side on a northern edge of North Park Road. Blood was found down the other side of the road by a fence. He had been shot 4 times, including one time through the nose.
Yeah.
Betty Jo Booker's body. Oh, yeah?
No, so the bullet count is getting higher.
Yes, and I also pointed out that he was shot through the nose for a reason.
Okay, gross. Is it a gross reason?
It's not. I mean...
All right, keep going.
Booker's body was not found until approximately 11:30 a.m., and it was found almost 2 miles away from Martin's body, behind a tree. She was found by another family, the Boyd family. They were part of a search party that was looking for her, since they found that Martin was murdered and this girl was missing. Her body was lying on its back, but she was fully clothed, and her right hand was in the pocket of her buttoned overcoat. She had been shot twice, once through the chest and once in the face. The weapon used was the same as in the first double murder, a .32 automatic Colt pistol.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to me that they're both shot in the face.
Did they, I might have missed it, did they find the car that they had taken?
It was a brand new Ford Coupe. It was found about 3 miles away from Booker's body and 1.5 miles away from his body. So it's kind of in between. It was parked outside Spring Lake Park and the keys were still in it. The authorities were not sure who was shot first. Examination of the bodies indicated that they both had put up quite a struggle. Law enforcement were unable to locate Booker's saxophone at the crime scene. So people were like, well, what's this got to do with things here?
Yeah.
Why is her saxophone missing?
Oh, no, I meant, what does it have to do with... Maybe she left it with the band.
But they knew that she didn't, actually, because they investigated all this stuff.
All right.
And they thought, well, what does the saxophone have to do with it? And chances are probably nothing, because it was eventually discovered about 6 months later. And it was still in its, leather case and everything, and it was found in some underbrush near where her body had been found.
Okay.
Now, as I mentioned, they made a movie about this case.
Yeah.
And
so was it like this series or just this one particular
no, the series.
Couple? Okay.
The series. But it only claims to be based on true events. And the basic bare bone facts are pretty accurate, like about the attacks and everything.
Yeah.
Names are all changed and everything like that. But one thing that is really kind of ridiculously exaggerated is that when this attack is portrayed, she was a trombonist.
I can only imagine.
And the attacker ties her to a tree.
Yeah.
And then puts a bayonet blade on the trombone.
All right.
So that when he slides the trombone out, he stabs her with it as he attempts to play it through his mask.
Is happening. So they turn it into a comedy,
I mean, it's not supposed to be funny. I don't think that was the idea. But it's definitely
ridiculous.
Yeah.
This really happened. Check out what we did with your story, deceased person.
Yeah.
Don't love that.
So they started a reward fund for this murder as well, and this one actually got up to $1,700. If you could find information that would point to the murderer of the Griffin Moore and the Martin and Booker attacks. Rumors circulated throughout the area. One rumor suggesting that a local minister had turned his own son in as a suspect. But on April 18th, Captain Gonzaullas, Texas Ranger, Lone Wolf Gonzaullas, issued a statement to the public during a press conference assuring the public that the murderer had not been caught and that the rumors circulating among the public and in the newspapers were actually, quote, a hindrance to the investigation and harmful to innocent persons, end quote.
They really don't like rumors.
Yeah. Now, I just want to point something out here because I noticed, Gonzaullas.
Yeah.
That is a name of Spanish descent.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting in 1946 that, presumably someone of immigrant background.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to say this delicately, but basically I was surprised that...
I don't know what generation they are necessarily, or do we?
Well, we do because I looked it up, but
okay.
He's first generation Native.
Oh, wow. All right.
American. He was actually born in Spain, but only because his family was visiting Spain. But his parents were from Spain.
That's really funny. Okay.
Yeah. So, but they had been naturalized into the United States.
Okay.
I'm just saying it was very forward of the times. I wouldn't have suspected that.
Well, we don't know what he's going to do yet, so let's...
No, he turns out okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just saying good for Texas, that's all. Texas kind of has a reputation.
Yep, that's one check mark on the good side. Let's look
over
over here and oh God.
All right. So Brian, we've been talking for a while, and actually we're going to continue to talk about it, but I think we're going to take a break here and make this a first ever 2-part episode.
Wow, making history. Like it.
So I want to again tell everyone, check out the website, spookyas.com or spookyasshit.com. They both take you to the same place. From there, you can find all of our social media, and most importantly, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas. I say most importantly because that's the one I enjoy the most. I like seeing everybody and seeing what I'm dealing with here.
And you like selling their metadata.
Yeah. And what else? Oh, please go ahead and rate the show, subscribe on iTunes or wherever else you listen, write a nice review, 5 stars preferably. If you have questions, comments, show ideas, you can write to me at spookyasshit@gmail.com. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to have you on the next episode, but until then, don't be afraid. That's for everyone, not just Brian. I realized the way I said it sounded like I was just talking to you, but I want everyone to not be afraid.
Yeah, I carry that in my heart.
Okay.